Hello, everybody. My name is Benny, and welcome to the Fool's Apprentice. We are doing my tarot chat today, and I have a very exciting guest. Hi, Danny. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. For someone who may not know who you are, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dani. My channel is Dani Mystic. I've been on TarotTube for probably about 6 years now. And yeah, I talk tarot and witchy stuff and crafts and all the things.
Yeah, I was going through a lot of your videos recently, just to catch up and, see if I had questions about things that came up. And, I was surprised you have a lot more witchy stuff than I remember. I want to talk about your shed because you had your shed on there when it was coming up. And also, I mean, you had a couple of series that I thought were really interesting. So we'll go into all of that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, oh my God. Okay, guys, just so you know, we had some technical difficulties. We were supposed to start at 9. It's 9:40. So, but Danny's been very, very sweet in staying, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how were you introduced to the tarot? Was it family, a friend? Did you just see it somewhere?
Well, actually, the very first time I was introduced to tarot was at a bookstore. And I had passed by this little fortune telling set over and over and over again. And I was like, oh, I want it so bad. I want it. I want it. I want it. I was about 13.
Oh, you
And
were young.
yeah. And I convinced my grandfather, I was like, Papa, I really need this. Can I please get this? And he got it for me. And he was like, what is that? I'm like, it's just some cards, just some cards. And like, I took it back in my room and I had the booklet and I had all the little papers. And it was so intriguing to me. And that's kind of where that started. And it fell away for a while. And then me and one of my really good friends started talking about tarot and cards probably, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I was like, I got to pick it back up. And from there, everything just kind of expanded because then it came into like my family lineage with reading cards and um, just like
Oh,
stumbling upon TarotTube.
what do you mean your family lineage reading cards? You had
So,
family members?
yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
my grandfather read playing cards.
Oh,
His mother read playing cards, and it came down from that line, and I didn't I didn't even know that I was doing something that was literally part of my family for generations.
wow.
Um, yeah, and it was a real surprise because like, my dad had found out, and he was like, "Oh, like Pop and like my grandma and like this." He's like, "This is part of our family. I'm not surprised at all." And I'm like, "I'm surprised." But yeah, so, my family also has a tradition of being traiteurs, which is, Cajun folk healers. So,
Okay.
I am now a traiteuse, and so I've just followed down that line and just kind of found my place without even knowing that
Okay. So
it
what
was
is that
there.
word again?
Traiteur. So a traiteur or a
Uh-huh.
traiteuse, it's kind of like a treater. So that's Cajun French, and one is feminine, one is masculine. And yeah, it's our folk healers.
Okay, very interesting. I don't think I ever heard you talk about that on any of your
Yeah, I
videos.
don't talk about it too much. Not. uh, I guess it's because like for us, it's one of those things where it's not something that I'd say like advertise. Like we tell people I'm a traiteuse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you come to us, which is why I hold a lot of the same things when it comes to my tarot readings. Like I offer, but I will never approach. Um,
Okay.
my belief system and the belief system of, the traiteurs and the healing and how these things work when it comes to my culture is that you can't do for somebody that doesn't want to do for themselves. They have
Right.
to ask
Right.
for healing. They have to ask for a reading. They have to come to you. You can't just be like, "Hey, let me do this for you."
One thing that I noticed in watching your videos is culture is very important to you. It comes up in your videos quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I really enjoy. Annette from Refine, oh my God, she's gonna kill me. I always forget her channel name. Something Refined Life. Oh, she culture for her is really important, and it comes up in her decks. And when I think about tarot and culture, I think about both of you, because I mean it comes up a lot. Where does that come from you, culture wise?
For me, culture-wise, the Cajun culture is a complicated one. And through, I mean, growing up, our language is being lost. My grandparents, my husband's grandparents, so many people that we knew and we loved were punished and beaten and whipped in school for speaking French, and most of them only knew how to speak Cajun French.
Oh wow, I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, it was really bad. They called it the Americanization of the Cajun people, and it was pretty intense. And so it held a lot of shame for a lot of people, and we didn't have a written culture really all that much. The Cajun Cajun French is a spoken language, it's an oral tradition. It's kind of equates back, like you can talk to someone from France or Canada or anywhere else that speaks French, and it's similar, but it's not the same because we
Okay,
have Spanish influence, we have native influence.
it's
Our
a
French is
dialect.
like from the 1700s, and a lot of it
Mm,
hasn't changed at all.
okay,
um as well as African and all kinds of stuff, and we're kind of like a little jumble there. And because it's been so um suppressed, and so much of our language and our culture is being Americanized and lost, it's really important to me to follow those traditions. I know all my healer prayers in French, and I know um, this, that, and the other. And I'm still learning because, I grew up hearing it and I don't even
hmm.
hear it anymore. I have to seek it out
Oh,
to hear it. And so, just not losing it. We say that lâche pas, you can't let go. And my teacher, the traiteur that taught me, he made it very clear. He said, "Baby, we can't hide no more. We have to speak our language, and we have to learn our language, and we have to bring it back. We can't let it die out." And so
yeah.
that's really important to me.
Okay, and it's evident because it comes up. It comes
It
up
does.
enough where I noticed it, and I just want to let everybody know Annette's channel is Project Refined Life. Have you
Project
ever
Refine.
heard of it? Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I love her channel. I don't know how she does all the journaling that she does.
It's amazing.
And do you remember the first deck what that you ended up
Yes.
buying at the store?
Uh, the first deck was part of a little set, but it was I think they call it the Tarot Nova now, and I have a copy of it, and it's the little square deck. It's a black background and it's
Mm.
non-traditional, really. Um, but yeah, that was the first deck I ever got.
And what challenges, other than there's 78 cards, any particular challenges that were like really tough to overcome in learning the tarot?
I'm gonna be honest, those court cards sink me sometimes. They still sink me sometimes. Like I think it's because there's something different, there's something special about them. And I feel like when they come up, it's like you have to be prepared, like, oh, is this a person? Where's this coming from? Who is this? What is this? It always sparked me in that same way. And while I think it gets easier and easier, and once you're in a reading, it doesn't trip me up, but like, I lay my cards down for myself and I'm like, what's this? What's this?
Yeah, when they come up for me, I generally will go to the book, but the first thing I think of is the suit association.
Yes,
So if
me
I
too.
get a page of pentacles, first thing I think of is okay, it's grounded in reality here in the material world. Pages are very young, they're naive. And so if I remember correctly, and then like so the page would be someone that's really learning a lot,
Yeah.
studying a lot. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
You are
So
absolutely right.
little by little I'm getting it. So that's how I'm starting to kind of learn them.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
And
doing a video where I'm going to take the time to actually study them because that's what my channel started off as, my
yeah.
journey in learning it. Um, what was your plan? Actually, I'm going to wait on that. So, in your first year in learning, um, actually, you said you took a pause. Did you have a whole year at the beginning?
Oh yeah, I mean, I probably played around with my cards and I mostly just used the book
Okay.
when I was really young. Um so I did that a lot, but when I came back to it,
Hmm.
it was really like starting again.
Okay. And in that first year, what kinds of things, other than the court cards, how long did it take you to kind of feel comfortable without using the book?
Um you know, I trying to think. I used the book for a while. I would have to
Yeah.
say it was a couple of months I used the book. And
I'm
like
still using it 2 years
I know.
later. Couple
But
of
you see,
months.
I
Yeah.
come from an acting background. I come from a space where like I'm one of those people like I want to read it and then I want to figure it out for myself. I don't like training wheels. And that is
Mm.
good and that is bad. So
Wow.
I'm gonna put that out there. Um, but like I used it for a few months and then I started to try to come up with my own associations. I
Mm.
journaled every day. And I think that's what really like made things solid for me was that I pulled my cards, I read, and then I journaled about it every single day. And that's what really solidified it in my
Mm.
mind, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like I feel like that just the act of writing it down and really processing it, looking at the cards as I'm writing, sitting with it, and I would wake up. Like I would wake up in the morning, I'd sit outside and I would pull my cards and I would drink my coffee and I would sit and I would write and I would use that time to really try and hone in on what I was feeling and why the cards made me feel a certain way and reading from the booklet and like I kind of just created this whole ritual around it and that's what really helped me solidify the way that I felt and like I don't know if you've ever come across something or a card deck or the way that you're reading or a system where it's like you laid it down and like all of a sudden you're just like I feel like I just know though. Like I don't need to know what anybody else thinks it means. I just somehow know. It just feels
Hmm.
right. It feels connected. And for me, it was really following that and then broadening with guidebooks and art and reading.
Yeah. When I do my readings, they come really easily. I don't worry if I got it right or wrong. I really trust my intuition. Um, my, my intuition has saved my butt growing up. I don't know how I made it alive through
Same.
my 20s. But anytime something didn't feel right, something internally would tell me not a good idea.
Not a good
I was
idea.
gone. I went to a safe place, or if I something would come up and I just knew what the right decision was, and I followed my gut. And so I do the same thing with tarot. I
Yes.
just know what it's supposed to mean. But I started with oracle cards, which really honed in my intuition in learning how
Yes.
to read like several cards together. And slowly I transitioned to tarot, and it was a really easy transition. It's just knowing what those cards mean.
Exactly.
Um, Once I know what the cards mean, um, it easily comes together. But I've had moments where I have no idea. And I'm looking at the cards and there is no message coming. So I just sit there quietly and I try to settle my mind and I wait. And then
Yeah,
little by little, all of a sudden it comes up and I have a really good reading.
exactly. Sometimes it just takes that time, and I'm like, what's catching me? Like, I can look and be like, it's like radio silence. But why does that particular thing in this card just keep nagging at me?
Hmm.
What is it about it? How does it relate? You know, I love those moments. Sometimes those are the best learning moments, is when it's radio silence.
Yeah. Um, I think most of my really good ones have come from having to sit
Yeah.
and be patient. Because at the beginning when that happened, I'd be like, "Oh my god," and I
Yeah.
get really stressed out about it,
Yes.
because, like, why am I not getting it? And then I was like, "Well, just wait." And, most people don't just sit and wait because they
No.
want it very quickly, which was me. Did you take any classes, to learn
No,
the tarot?
I've never taken any classes. I've never done anything like that. The only thing that I've really kind of studied that was from someone else was my notes from my grandfather
Okay.
on his playing card reading. But I mean, not really a class. I just kind of settled in on my own.
And do you follow, other systems other than the Rider-Waite-Smith?
Um, that's usually my main one. I will go
Mhm.
pip style. Every once in a while I'll do Marseille. But I read playing cards, I read Lenormand, I read Oracle, of course. I've dabbled in Thoth. It's just way more than I'm willing to go into.
Yeah, medicine. Well, I'm telling you, I one of the things that, I watch you and I'm like, she puts a lot of work into her journaling and her witchy practice, and, I'm really taken because that takes a lot of time,
It does. It
you
does.
know? So how do you balance your I don't know if I'm saying that witchy
No, that's
practice, I
fine.
don't know if
No,
that's
yeah, yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
Okay, your witchy practice, your journaling, and then your tarot studies and everything. Because each one in itself, I think, is an investment in time.
It is, and I kinda like to put it all in a blender and mesh it all together. So, a lot of my, you know, witchy practice and tarot really correspond because I will use cards and I'll set stuff up on my altar and I'll do stuff like
Mhm,
that. So that kind of corresponds. I'll then journal. But creativity is a huge thing for me. I called it my like escapism even as a kid. There's something about creating something from the things that you have around and turning it into something else that has its own kind of alchemy. And I kind of use everything with intention. And I know people are like, whatever, you're just doing this, but it is. This is very intentional for me. I love creating beautiful things. I don't care if anybody else thinks they're beautiful. I think they're beautiful or strange or whatever that may be.
yeah.
And I just kind of mix it all together. So like in my journals, you'll find tarot cards, you'll find readings, you'll find spell work, and you'll find all kinds of stuff, even from my culture. It's like I kind of mix it all together. And so it all seems like one thing to me versus
Mhm.
separate things. And
Okay,
I think
that
that's kind of how
actually, that makes sense.
yeah,
It
that's
really
kind of
does
how
make
I
sense.
flow.
I'm really interested. Um, do you have, like, a card in the tarot that you really resonate with, like, really speaks to you?
I think the main like I'm thinking the main major arcana kind of thing. The one card that I've always been drawn to since the beginning has always been the High Priestess. There's
Mm,
something about the way that she walks between two worlds that really intrigues me. And so it's like I remember when I was creating Mystic Masters and I was looking through all this old art from the 1500s, and I came to this card, to the High Priestess, because I started backwards. I did it backwards purposefully. And I searched and searched. I'm like, I need her to be walking between two worlds. It has to feel that way to me. And there's something about that because of the experiences that I've had since I was really young, um, with the woo-woo side of things, you know. There was something so intriguing about her where I felt such a connection that, like, it's that connection to the other world, and to the things that are mystical, and holding that knowledge within and finding it from within, that really always resonates with me. And so I have to say, like, my number one would be the high priestess.
I'm gonna tell you, you're talking about this card, and I'm like, wow, that's like you really understand that card and the way you described it and how you wanted to find an image that it really speaks to your because let me ask you, do you consider yourself an expert with the tarot?
No.
Because, well, you sound like you're an expert with the tarot. You do. So when you think of somebody who's an expert with the tarot, what do you envision?
Oh gosh, I think when I think of a tarot expert, I really think of more of an academic side of
Mm,
things. Like, when someone's like, "I'm a tarot expert," I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you know the history, you probably know, all of that kind of stuff." Like, I feel like it's more academic. When it comes to being a tarot reader,
hmm
there is no tarot expert, in my opinion,
Okay. All right.
because
Yes.
I think it's so personal. The way that
Okay.
people read is completely different. And so being a tarot expert, as in just knowing, the history, the symbolism of a certain deck, and this, that, and the other,
Yeah. Well, I would
anyone can
say,
do that.
okay. I've never asked that question to anybody. It just came up, and so I was really curious. But I like your explanation very much. Is there a card in the deck that you're like, oh, I either you don't like it, you hate it, you never want to see it,
Let me see.
or
You
a
know, as
card that
crazy
really go
uh,
ahead.
oh, yeah, as crazy as it is, like, it's probably, like, I am not a huge fan of the 7 of Swords.
Oh, okay.
I know that's, like, kinda random, but, like, every time it comes up, I'm like, I'm just I don't know what it is about it that's just, like, maybe it's just the energy that it holds. Like, a lot of times it holds, kind of a sneakiness to it, and I just think it kind of, I don't know if you know anything about Lenormand, but,
I
like,
know
it
some.
kind of brings up the snake vibes, where, like, I'm
Um,
always, and it's not always in that way, but, like, initial gut reaction, just looking through the tarot, if there's usually a card where I'm like, "Eye roll," it's that one.
well, I will tell you when I went to Game of Thrones, and I know you're a big fan, and you have the deck. I'm thinking the Seven of Swords as you were talking. I'm like, well, if that were a person, it'd be Littlefinger.
Yeah.
You
And
know, that's
as funny as it
exactly.
is, the way that it's portrayed in the Game of Thrones tarot is actually one of my favorite ways, because it is, um, Sam taking his family sword back. He deserved that,
Mm,
and so he takes it. And so there is that sneakiness about it, but it's justified. It feels justified in that. And so I try to turn it more towards that. I mean, if you ever can in a reading,
yeah.
but, like, um, that's one of the ones that I really enjoyed looking at, and seeing how they portrayed that 7 of Swords, because it hit different, and I really liked it.
So when it comes to your YouTube channel, you're right, you've been on for 6 years. I always go back to the beginning and watch a
Oh,
few of you have had a transformation. Have you gone back and looked at your earlier videos?
it's been a hot minute.
The
Sometimes they'll pop up.
transformation has
It's
been
pretty wild.
amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, like uh, the space that you use to create your videos, like now you have your she shed. I think that's what
Yeah.
you called your video, which is significantly different. Which I think you were in your home in a
I
room.
was. I think I think when I started, sometimes I was in my bedroom, sometimes I was in my kitchen, like, at my little desk area, like, I was just like, "Wherever. We're just gonna
Yeah,
do
and
this."
then in the how you present is so very different compared to back then. Now you're very confident. It's you do come across like, not that you weren't authentic then, but you're more open, and it feels like you're actually talking to me instead of presenting. You know what I mean?
Presenting, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
that was nerves, man. I'm like, especially at the very beginning, I'm like, I don't belong here. What the hell am I doing over here? Like, so I'm just like, so here's this.
and now, your first video was a walkthrough,
Yeah,
uh,
I started out doing like little flip throughs and stuff like that.
and then, oh my gosh, let me tell you, you have had so many
So many what?
hairstyles and hair
Oh my
colors.
God, yes. Colors, styles, designs, all the
You
things.
My favorite so far when I'm of the hair that you've had is it's like this dark silver that you or gray that you had.
That
That
was
was
my
my
favorite.
favorite.
Oh,
I loved it.
I did too. That was my favorite. And it was so hard to achieve because it was like it was faded out. And so like to get that look, you have to fade it out. And it was just
Mm,
like the perfect storm. My husband is a hairdresser, and so like
yeah.
we try uh to get that back, and we were able to do it a few times, but man, nothing beats a good beautiful fade out.
And it's nice to see that you incorporate your husband into the videos. Sometimes like the 25, which was actually 50 wacky
50,
questions.
yeah.
And then you talk about him being a hairdresser, and I'm like, oh, that is, I was like taken by that. I'm like, oh, this big Louisiana guy is a hairdresser. I was like, very cool, very interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely not the typical Louisiana man. I definitely not.
So what
There's no
inspired
there's no
you?
big hunting and fishing here.
What inspired you to start a TerraTube channel?
The community.
Hmm.
I started watching and now I transitioned in from like witchy stuff and then some of the tarot, and I was watching all these things, and I was starting to comment and to, you know, to start talking to different people, and I was like, I would love to do something like this. I've always been inclined to do something I don't know. I'm gonna say performative. I don't feel like like this is authentic to me, but like
Yeah.
something that I can share. And I think that's
Hmm.
what it is. It's like just the act of sharing and talking with people and creating that kind of community that was really, really intriguing to me. Um, and I don't have a lot of people around here that I I talk to, or that I could, or
Yeah.
that, are in the same things as me. We find that a lot, these little pockets of space. And so it was a way to kind of reach out and say like, "Hi, I'm here. I would like to be a part
Yeah.
of this community."
Yeah, I think that's what most of us do. Most of us probably don't have a lot of people or any I don't have a single person that I talk to about tarot in my community. So this here, I actually started the tarot chat series because I was sitting, I remember very clear. I'm sitting there watching somebody, and I'm thinking, God, I would like to know who they are. And then I'd watch somebody else. God, they sound so interesting. And
Yes.
then one day I was like, I wish I could meet these people. And I'm like, you know, maybe I could interview people and then I get to
Yeah.
know them. And that started that whole thing. And then I shot big. Oh my God.
Was
I
it
mean,
Lisa your first one?
yes. And so I was on for a little bit and I was like, oh. So I typed it up and then I just sent. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And she was so gracious. She said yes, and it really kick-started the series, and it's been wonderful. Really,
Oh,
really wonderful.
I absolutely love that you're sitting here and you're talking with people and you're doing this, because I think it's necessary to to kind of build that community and to really start to understand how other people do things and incorporate it within your
Mhm.
practice. And there's just so much learning and growth that we can have from each other, and I think it's wonderful.
One of my favorite parts is learning how people get started with the tarot. Some people are brought up within the family, other people, it just came out of nowhere. Like me, mine came out of nowhere. I just ran into Katie Flower's video and I was hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so that's been really cool. Um, so when you were thinking about your tarot channel, did you have an idea what its main goal was, or was it just mainly I'm just going to start and do it?
No, it was literally like, I'm just gonna get on here and do it and see what happens. Like,
Okay.
I'm still like that. I'm still like that. I'm like, I'm just gonna turn the camera on and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, I don't do that. I'm very my brain is very I didn't know this about me until somebody really pointed it out. My brain is very structured. As you know, I sent you an outline.
Yes, it's
Who
so
does that?
wonderful.
I do. And so I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but then it kind of shifted. It went from follow my journey and learning the tarot to building community. And so I try to remember my main goal is learning because I am still learning. So making sure that's still in there.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you use to start your video? Did you buy cameras? Did you use your phone?
I used my phone for a long time. Like,
Really?
I use my phone, I edited on my phone, I voice over on my phone. Everything
Voiceover on your phone?
I did everything on my phone, everything.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yep.
I didn't know you could do a voiceover on your phone.
I would use the iMovie. I could remove the usually the sound of my AC and
Yeah,
just remove all the sound. And then I would, there's a place where I could start and stop wherever I needed to, where I could voice over. I put my little um, headphones on and I do it that way. It was probably 2, 3 years ago, maybe, not even. No, it had to be like maybe a year or two that I actually got a digital camera.
that blows my mind.
Yeah.
And what camera did you end up getting?
I got a Sony. It's the what is it? It's like a ZV-1.
Yeah, that's what I have.
That's what you have? I love
Yeah.
it. It's simple. I put my little streaming on, I hook it up to my computer, and I'm good to go. But yeah, it was recent that I got this.
Was it a challenge learning how to use it?
Yeah. I'd say yeah, like it was like the settings and the like I'm still some of my videos I'm like, why is everything slowing down? I don't understand what is happening. Yeah, tech savvy is not who I am. So I'm like, listen, if you're trying to find some 4K movie style quality, baby, this ain't your channel.
We have a few people whose videos are like stunning,
Oh
like
my god.
stunning. Uh, you're,
Crisp, well lit. I'm like,
mhm.
I got a lamp and this little thing I got from Amazon.
And let me tell you, I have been super red. I've been green. I've been in focus, out of focus. And I'm like, what is going on? It's the same camera. I haven't touched anything, the same light,
Yep.
and I struggle. I struggle. So I had to learn. I use Final Cut Pro to do my editing. Do you have an editor or do you use
I'm like the basic B, okay? I use this like it sucks. It constantly crashes on me. It's like Clip Champ or something like that. It's
Oh
like
no.
on my computer. I That's what I use.
What kind of computer do you have?
I have a this is
Is it an
a
Apple?
newer one. No, it is a MSI. I've had an
Okay.
Apple for a while.
Okay, there is one of the big three. Final Cut Pro is one of them. So one of the other two, I'll see if I can find it for you. They have actually a free version that you can use to edit, and it's really high quality. It won't crash on you. I'll see if I can find it. I
Yeah.
know I just can't. I'm so horrible with names. I'm so horrible. Like I want to mention somebody from like right now. I wanted to mention a tarot tube that I watch all the time. Her videos are stunning to look at, but I didn't mention it because I can't
Can't
remember the name
remember the
of the
name.
channel. And
I
here I
agree.
can't remember either of those program names.
And it's like for me, I'm like, I can describe probably everything about it, but I'm not gonna be able to tell you the name of it.
It's
Won't do
horrible.
it. I know it.
And I saw that you do have lighting. one of the videos that I really liked that you did was, I think I wrote it down. Oh, the flat lay tutorial.
Oh, yeah.
Where for Instagram, that was so insightful, because I would like to be able to do that, but I don't. My Instagram's so very basic. It's my cards on the desk, and that's it, and then my reading for the day.
Yeah.
And my readings are longer, but I condense it. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was really, really helpful.
Yeah, and I again, it's part of that like artistic flair. Like I always want to create something beautiful. And like I will do this like even that for me is like non-performative. Like my husband thinks I'm so extra sometimes because like I'm like, no, I want to read my cards and I want it to be beautiful and I want it to look right and I want it to because it's a whole vibe. I gotta have the
Yeah.
whole vibe, you know? So yeah, and I would play with that a lot more when I had a little more free time. And then so it's like now I'm starting to get back into that because I'm like, I lost that for a while. I still love making everything beautiful, but I didn't put as much effort into it just to
That's a lot
create
of
something
work.
beautiful. It is. And a lot of times I think it's worth it, sitting with those cards and presenting them in a way that somebody's going to stop and take a moment of their day just to even just take a breath and look at that for a second, just kind of causing that pause.
Um, my favorite one that I've ever done that I still do from time to time is I write out my reading for the day, and then I'll put the cards with a spiral and the pen that I used. That is
Yes,
about as fancy as I get. But I
but
love it. I think it looks really, really cool.
it does.
It looks, yeah, it looks like a guy did it, which is very nice for me.
I know. And it's like, it's just the simple fact of like, this is something that I've done. It makes you feel like it's kind of like the cherry on top of the cake. Like you had your reading, you sat with your cards, you did the thing, and now
Mhm.
you can look at them in this beautiful way when you're done, you know?
So you have your camera, you have your lights. You talked about having a good tripod. What mic do you use? Do you have an external mic or do you use the camera one?
I use a snowball.
Oh, that's a cute
Honestly,
one. I've seen that one.
yeah, and honestly, I'm not super stoked with it anymore.
No?
Like I find that the sound it's not like it doesn't pick up loud enough sometimes. And so I think if anything I will be replacing, like I have everything else that I'm just kind of set. I don't spend a lot of money on stuff like that. I'm here just for I mean, this is for me. It just so
Yeah.
happens that people like it. And I'm like
People love it. You got over 20,000 members. People like it.
like every once in a while I'll update it, and I think that my last thing that I need to update is just a little bit better mic, and then I think I'll be a little more set. I've tried all kinds of different stuff, like
Have you
the
tried
lapel
a
mic.
radio, Rado?
Mhm.
Have you
I've
tried
heard of
one of
those.
those?
I haven't
They're
yet.
really good. And right now, I love mine. It's what I love about it. It's wireless. Uh, yeah. And so it's not connected to the camera, and I don't have to fight because it's not long enough. This is a Comica.
Nice. That is
It
so cool.
is so good. I'll find a video and I will send it to you on Instagram so you could see if it's something you'd be interested.
Absolutely.
Um, but I love it very, very much. You know, I am no, you think your husband thinks you're extra. I'm super extra. So before I started, I bought me a desk. I bought me a stand. I got a microphone. I got the Sony camera. I got the light. I mean, I did all of this stuff. And I hadn't even recorded a video. I didn't know if I was gonna like it or not. Then I posted it on Lisa's Facebook, and later she tells me, like, who's this dude with his setup? Uh,
Full setup.
but I tell people, use your camera, it doesn't matter. But I didn't live by that. It's a mess. I'm a mess sometimes.
Oh, that's so funny. I definitely lived by that. I remember it was probably a couple years in, and I was talking with Lisa, and she was like, "What camera are you using?" I'm like, "I'm still using my phone." She's like, "You're still using
Yeah.
your phone? Are you editing on your phone still too?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you doing?"
But the thing is, like, if it works, it works.
It works, it
And
works.
if you happen to be like me, it's hard to change because you're comfortable in what you've done.
Like, I know
And if
this
you have to
works.
change, it's technology. And oh my God, I get overwhelmed with technology. It took me 3 days to set up my printer.
Don't even
And
get me
I,
started on printers. I'm like, I could do complicated stuff, but a printer, that is the first thing I'm going to chunk out this window and
oh
yell
my
for
God,
payment.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I built a website, but I can't get a printer to
But I can't
print.
get a printer to print. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Same.
do you have a schedule on when you're gonna do videos? Like I do videos Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or is it whenever it comes up?
I have tried putting myself on a schedule for 6 years, Benny.
No.
Ask me if I was successful. No,
Were you ever successful?
never. Never. And so
That's
I learned that for me, you gotta let it flow. You gotta let it be authentic. If I try to pre-plan now, I'm not saying that I don't like, hey, I want to do these things, so I'm gonna get them done. But like as far as like making sure I post on a certain day or do a certain thing, no. My brain literally sharts out. It's like, oh, you want to plan this? You're not gonna want to do any of it.
that's hilarious. I kind of I kind of pinned myself. I cornered myself to have to do them on Saturdays because of my series hashtag Saturdays, where I do
Yes.
all the hashtags. So I have if now I've gotten better about not always having a hashtag on Saturday, but I did that for months where it was only hashtags. And then I feel like, well, I said I'm doing hashtag Saturdays, so I can't do another video on Saturdays. And why my brain thinks that that's the rule I should follow makes no
Yeah.
sense.
You know how many times I'm like, I'm gonna do a series on this, and it was one video, and I've never done it again.
I love that. That's hilarious.
Like, I bet you could find it.
Do you do batches of videos?
Usually I don't. And now every once in a while I'll get on a tear and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna film this and I'm gonna film this and I'm gonna film this. But a lot of times it's like I'll film a public video, I'll film something for my members, and then I'll make something for my, some of my other members. So like that's the only kind of like real batching that I do. Um, Otherwise I just try to record something every week. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. The only ones that I've really done batches of is my one card tarot study. I will schedule everybody on that weekend.
Oh, that's
And
smart.
and I got people from like different time zones from other countries, and I have to do it like whenever they're available. And I really work on other people's schedule because I feel if they're willing to take the time to come on my channel, then my channel, like I get it, like I'm on NBC. Um,
I like it.
so I work with people's schedules. And so I'll give them some options on that day, or if they're in the one of the first people I contact, tell me what's good for you. But I go boom, 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 boom. I'm done, and then I schedule them out. So right now I'm through the end of November, and then
Wow.
I finish the major arcana, and then the pentacles are next.
Nice.
So
That's
so it's
exciting.
been a
I
wonderful
love
journey.
this series. It's amazing what you're doing.
Uh, Now, when it comes to your videos, do you have an idea of what it is that you're going to do, or you're just inspired because something happens?
Usually it's very inspired.
Okay.
I have notes all over the place of just like I'll be in the middle of something and I'm like, what would be really cool to try, or what would be really cool to do, and I'll usually jot that down. Um, and then of course, I show decks and stuff like that, which is fine and great. I love doing that. I really do. Especially because that gives me a chance to sit with those cards and really like go through them and stuff like that. But I really like doing those extras, those other things, and I'd been at my muggle job for a while, and so I
You
pulled
what
back.
job?
I said my muggle job,
Oh,
my
okay,
everyday
okay.
job.
You're a
Um,
Harry Potter fan.
I'm a huge
You had
Potter
your
fan, yeah.
Harry Potter Christmas tree. I was like, wow.
Yes. Yes, I convinced my husband to do it Harry Potter for me because he loves Christmas and I love Halloween, and so we bridged the gap by doing a Harry Potter Christmas.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to be able to do that a lot more, and then I started working with my friend, but she recently sold her business, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna walk away from that because I was really doing that with her for her, and it was a really great creative outlet for me as well, because I did a lot of their social media, and so now that I've stepped away from that again, I can focus in more on what I'm doing here and my stuff, and so it's like I'm hoping to have more of those just inspired moments, or like when I see somebody, doing something like I recently did the tarot mapping thing from Sylvie at Tarot
Yeah, I
Magpie.
saw that. Yeah.
It was so intriguing. It was so much fun and that inspired me, and I was like, I would love to try this out. And like I again, you could obviously tell none of it is scripted. I don't have an outline. I'm just like, we're just gonna try. Like,
But I
I
think
just
that's
feel like that's important for people to see the mess ups and the messiness and
yeah.
the raw, real shit of
So
stuff.
do I.
Sorry.
I rarely edit because I am who I am and I'm not perfect. And so I think that's one of the things that people really appreciate is that, they see, you being just a normal human being that makes mistakes.
Yeah, I think it's so
Yeah,
important.
I think when you did, I think part of it, like when you're watching someone process, is it normalizes that whole processing that you do to get to where you want to get in your video or in your learning. So it also inspires people to do the same thing, and or try something brand new.
And I really noticed that when I show my grimoires and my book of shadows, whatever you want to call them, my journals.
Hmm.
Some of the some of the comments on there are probably the most, inspiring things that I've ever read. Is just like, I, you know, I love that you just get messy and you do it. And it's like I want people to know that like nothing is perfect. Like we see these things and we see the finished version. You don't get to see the messy, and I don't think that
Yeah.
that's fair. That's not where the growth happens. Like you got to see the messy. You have to be willing to make mistakes, and you have to be willing to scratch something out on your piece of paper, and you have to be willing to, drop paint and make it work. You know, um, tear your piece of paper and just keep going. Like this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen, but I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep doing stuff until I'm done with it. Like that in itself just gives, I don't know, it gives inspiration to me, and it gives me permission to do the same. And like I want other people to have that permission to do that too, and to make mistakes and to be messy and to be okay with something not being perfect and beautiful,
Yeah.
but you did this. So it is perfect and it
Yeah.
is beautiful.
I
And
love that.
that's so important to me.
Have now looking at channels. Are there channels that you like really like? Do you have your favorite channels?
I do. I have a few that I watch. Like I watch Sylvie sometimes. Of course I do Lisa, Dawn.
Yeah.
Krista is like a ray of sunshine.
Yes.
I love watching Krista because it's so cozy. Um, Astro Lady Tarot, I love her whole vibe. She's very blunt. She's very to the point. She talks about really cool things. That's Anna. I watch Anna. Um, oh my gosh, so many, so
Yeah,
many.
I think I have like 80 channels saved.
I
Fair
have
Like
one.
Tarot with Sylvia, she's one of my favorite channels. Krista, Lisa, Dawn, of course. Yours, I watch all the time. Um, and then Annette from Project Refined Life. There's a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
Candy, Soul and Soil. I love watching all of her stuff now. I also watch, oh my gosh, she changed her name. I think it's like Tea with Chris, but she does pick a card, and it
Oh,
is so cozy. I want to say she's in Australia. I've watched her for years, and it's those I don't watch very many pick a card kind of stuff and listen to people talk like that, but there's something about her voice and her mannerisms that is just so comfy and cozy that I absolutely love.
now, there's Lisa Rainey, Mythical Witchery. We have become friends. I adore her. We speak like 3, 4 times a week. She
Love
lives in
it.
England, so we FaceTime all the time. She does tarot pulls. I love her readings, and her voice is so soothing when she does her readings. It just feels very comfortable to listen to her.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
she's
it.
wonderful. I love her. Um, and are there things that you do not share, like you're very clear and not sharing on your channel? Because you seem
I
very open. You talk about your family, you show your family on your channel.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that I don't show a whole lot and I don't do a whole lot is my playing card readings. That's a really sacred thing to me.
Hmm.
Um and it's one this is going to sound crazy. I'm like, I don't want anybody's opinion on it. Um I don't want anybody's opinion on how I read playing cards because it's not about what you think it is. It's
Yeah,
about what I think it is, and it's from, and because it's part of my family and stuff like that. Now, I have shared a bit of my stuff with my members, but that's one of those things where I don't know if I'd ever go public with that
yeah,
because it's so important to me, and
sacred.
like I said, I don't want anybody's opinion on it.
Now, I'm glad you brought up your membership. What inspired that?
I wanted a sacred space to be able to post stuff where like I didn't have and not like I'm always on and I'm always whatever, but like when I don't know and I just want to put the camera on and talk through something, or I
Mm,
want to make something and I'm like, this might be boring to some people, but I mean, if you're just here to hang out with me, I'm just going to talk a whole bunch of crap and we're just going to have some fun. And I wanted that safe space where like I don't have to edit. I don't have to I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to put my face on. I don't have to, whatever. I
yes.
wanted that sacred space to
I
just do those things.
um I'm considering doing a membership. The main reason, well, I have two reasons, but the main one is so I could start doing readings, and that would be a very safe place for me to do that
Yes.
because I don't really do a lot of readings, and it would be nice to get feedback from people about the readings that I do, and it'd kind of force me to uh, learn the court cards for one, so I don't
Yeah.
have to look at a book. But another thing that I want to do is, and it took me a long time to share this. I only recently shared this. Is that I'm a mental health therapist, and so part of the channel would be a third tier where we learn how to use the tarot or oracle cards for mental health.
Oh, that
And
would be
so,
amazing. And I agree. Having that safe space where, you know, this is for people who want that and who need that and who are curious about that. It's like it's one of those spaces where it's not just somebody going to come in and just kind of wreck it for everyone, you
yeah,
know? And I think that is absolutely beautiful and a wonderful place. I love doing readings with my members. It just kind of keeps my skills sharp. It's nothing formal, we just sit around, we
yeah,
hang out, we laugh, and I'm like, I'm gonna get to it. I do my weather updates. I laugh all
I
the time. I'm
know.
like, okay, so today, got to talk
Now,
about the weather.
so when it comes to decks, uh, I saw your 10 mass market ones and the decks that don't go anywhere. What is like the one deck that if you had a hurricane hit y'all and you only could take one deck, What's that deck?
I mean, honestly, it would probably be Mystic Masters. I would grab mine.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, just because I know it backwards and forwards and, whatever, I'd probably do that, if I'm being, like, just straight honest.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's because it changes so much, like, it's always, like, a season for me, I think probably one of the other ones that I would probably grab just because it just kind of holds that for me might be something like the Druid Craft,
Oh,
um, or honestly, my RWS Centennial Edition. Like, I feel like if you have that, you have everything.
yeah. I actually talked about, I just did a video, posted my out of print decks. I talked about the spoiler tarot because that's the one I would take. And I'm like, I know I'm supposed to take the traditional Rider Waite Smith, but I'm not doing it. This is the one I would
This
take.
is the one I want. And I there's something I don't know why I love that Centennial RWS so much,
It's
but I
actually
do.
really beautiful. I don't like most of them,
Me neither. Me neither.
but that one, I like the coloring in that one. That's why I like that one.
Yeah.
Um, so do you have a cap on how much you're willing to pay for a deck?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, I listen, if it's going into the triple digit numbers, it's very unlikely that I'm going to buy it.
Really?
It's very unlikely.
I'm
Uh,
surprised.
yeah, I'm and I think it's because like I don't buy tarot just to have a tarot. I
Mm,
buy them as my tools
mhm.
and as something that I know that I'm going to work with and use, like not to say that I don't have stuff that comes in that I don't, always like, of course. And there's some impulses that I'm like, this is just beautiful. I really want it. But
Yeah.
there's something about like, I don't know, I'm like, I'm not willing to do that because then it feels too precious to me. Then I'm not
Uh,
going to use it for fear of messing it up. Like,
oh, not me.
like
Mm-mm.
if I pay that much money, I know I'm going to be like, but that costs so much money. Like, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to damage it. And like, I'm rough on my cards. Like, I even have a set of Nile playing cards, like the fortune telling playing cards from the 1900s. Like,
Yeah, you did a video on that one.
yeah, like from 1904. Obsessed with those. Like, I will still play with those. I'm gentle, but like those still get played with. Like, I'm going to use my
Oh,
card.
no. If I buy it, like the spoiler tarot, I mean, it goes, I've seen it go for 12, $1,300, which is crazy. I wouldn't pay that much for it. But I use it, I shuffle it, I mean, I bought it because I want to use it. And why
Yeah.
would I buy it and not use it? I loved it that much for a reason.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I just, I literally just bought last night a deck, which is the most expensive deck I have purchased. And I'm super excited, but I'm thinking, why do I really need it? Do I really need it? Uh, I couldn't, but I'm very fortunate. I have a good income, but I don't have the free money that I used to because my old home I owned. This
Right.
home I don't, and so I have a mortgage now.
Right.
And so all that extra income is gone for me to buy decks. That's why I have so many decks. Uh,
Right. Yeah, when you have
so,
that time and space, I mean, absolutely.
but I think I won't buy another deck for the rest of the year because of how much I spent on this deck.
Yeah,
So,
I think the most I've probably spent was probably around 150 to $200.
okay.
Um,
Do you remember which deck?
um, it might have been the nameless one
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I have that one too.
because I
That's
went
the
all
big
in.
with a big book, right?
Big grimoire
Yeah.
book I bought. Yeah, like I got the whole thing. Like that was probably one of the most. I've been so lucky I've had viewers send me decks that I probably would have never gotten my hands on. Like
Oh, yeah, I saw your video on the Baba Studios. I mean, how nice was that? And you got some of the older ones with the boxes that I really like. I was like, wow. I think one of them was a fairy tale tarot.
yes. Yes.
I'm like, do you know how hard that one is to find?
Yes. I like to come unglued. I was
I
like
was like blown away. I was like, good for her.
like I didn't even know where to put myself. I was like, this I can't what?
Yeah.
It was amazing to be able to hold some of these in my hands. Like, I'm just a little girl from Louisiana. I ain't got a whole lot of money to spend. I don't have, this, that, and the other. And like it was so overwhelming to be gifted something like that when it's like, I'm just a girl. I don't
Yeah, but
deserve
the
this.
thing is, I mean, you're part of a community that really appreciates your channel and what you do and what you bring. And, a lot of us don't do it. Like, I don't do it for any money. And
No,
I don't think anybody makes a lot of money just on a membership,
I don't think
especially when
so.
they take 30%. Um, but I think it's people's way of letting you know that you're valued and how much you're valued. Like I've sent a deck out to somebody that I really wanted to get them a deck because I thought that they really love it, but I didn't see them buying it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done
So
that too. I've sent stuff off. I keep stuff like now my tarot world is expanding. People are starting to hear about it, and like my husband, bless his soul, he will tell anybody and everybody what I do.
that's
And so
wonderful.
now I'm having a little more people like coming into my shop, and I'll do readings over here for them, and they ask me about the tarot, and like I love being like, they're like, I would really love to whatever. And I'm like, look at these. Do you want any of these? Take it. Let me give it to you. Let me give you your first deck. Let me do this for you. I love doing that. I love it.
Yeah,
And then
well,
I'm like, if you have questions, you come to me, you ask me. I love it.
yeah, it's a way of giving back. I like doing the same thing. Like I tell people after like whatever I do, if you have questions, you want to reach out, just let me know. You can reach me on Instagram. This is my email. If you want
Yeah.
to get together and just chit chat, please reach out to me. I just like the way it makes me feel by being able to be present and do what just be available.
Yes. Yes. And
Um,
tarot for me really feels like an act of service, in reading for people, and when they need, and just kind of doing that. It's like it's my way of giving back, in the best way that I can.
Now, just for the people that are watching, uh, do you happen to have any unicorn decks that uh, just haven't crossed your path?
The Delta Enduring Tarot is one that I have been after for so long. And it came across once, not too long ago, but the price just I couldn't justify it. Um
Yeah.
and so that's probably my unicorn deck. I would love to get my hands on it one day. Just I don't know if I ever will. And we talked about Cajun decks and stuff like that. And there's somebody local that's thinking about one. I don't know how I feel about it just yet. um, but if I would ever come across or be able to create one, that would be something that I would love to do.
Outside of the Baba Studios, any deck that you got that you didn't think you would ever get?
Yes. And I never know how to say the name. So let me grab it real quick.
Oh my God. I think I know which one it is. I'm gonna grab mine and see if it's the one. Yes, I knew it because I can never pronounce it. Never.
I know. And it's
It's
so beautiful.
oh my God. Mine's trimmed. Is yours?
No, I didn't trim
Uh,
it.
and just so you know, that video, my out of print decks, I mentioned this, and I mentioned you because yeah. Oh, mine's. Look at mine. It's trimmed.
Oh, I love the trim.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it came out trimmed. It's really nice. I was very surprised.
oh. It's like little like works of art in your hand. Oh,
Let's
I
see how
love
it
it
looks
so much.
trimmed.
Oh, that looks fantastic trimmed.
Yeah, I love it. Um, this was my second out of print deck, my most expensive deck I bought for a long time, until other decks came in. But I saw it and I had to have it. I didn't think I was getting it because I think they only did 900
Yeah,
of
there wasn't a
these.
whole bunch, and, like, I don't know, it's the art style and the way that it makes me feel. It's like it's unlike anything else, I feel, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, there's that.
when when you pulled it
Mm,
out on the Three Fat Readers,
mhm.
I was like, "What? She has that?" I couldn't believe that you had it.
Oh, it's
Yeah, but
amazing,
I
and,
can't.
like, I used to just oogle over it, like, I would look at the
Yeah, I
art
had to.
all the
I would watch
time.
it. Yeah, I pronounce it Akulai Akultati Tarot, and I know that's wrong. Every time I show it, I'm like, I don't know how to say it. I always have to preface, I don't know how to
I
say
don't
it.
know how to say this. I say that all the time, I'm like, "Listen, pronunciation, not my strong suit."
I love that you have that deck. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely one that I never thought I would get my hands on, and I was just ecstatic.
When it comes to journaling, what is it about journaling for you that really is satisfying and fulfilling?
For me, it's, I've done it since I was really, really young. Like, I think one of my first journals I had, I was still probably, maybe middle school, into elementary, middle school, kind of idea. And I journaled almost every day, like throughout high school and stuff like that. And for me, it was just a way of getting my thoughts out, my feelings out, because I was an only child up until I was I was almost 14. My brother was born a month before my 14th birthday. And so I was an
Wow.
only child. I consider I was an only child, and then my brother was an only child after I moved out of the house. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
um, so for me, it was a way to process things in a space where I didn't have another outlet, and that really carried on for me. And then it became more of an artistic journey. Like, you could see through my notebooks, like, I would decorate the outside, and then I would
Mhm.
do little doodles or like put things in and write song lyrics and scratch all over, all of my journals, and just like kind of get those emotions out and put them on paper in whatever way, shape, or form that it felt right to me. And so as I evolved and as I, started journaling as an adult, I realized that I didn't play enough anymore. And so it became a place where I could write, I could get my emotions out, I could create something, whether that be words or images or putting things together that kind of express the way that I was feeling. And sometimes I go back and I read it, and sometimes I just flip through it, and sometimes I'm like, whoever will find this, maybe my little girl one day will go through these and be like, my mom was nuts. But I have something for her to look at and be like, "My mom made this. She did this.
Yeah.
Maybe I hope she'll treasure it." If not, then somebody will find it one day and think that they've stumbled upon something wicked and
Now,
wild.
do you have multiple journals for different types of journaling?
I do. I kind of hold, like, I usually have one working book. And then I also have one for my herbs and planting and things like that. So like
Oh,
all of my gardening stuff and what I'm learning of how to treat things and all those kind of good stuff. I have a journal for that specifically. Um when it comes to tarot, I usually have a set book, but right now I don't. I kind of put it wherever. Um,
okay.
I go through cycles when it comes to that, but, like, I usually have one main working book at a time, and then
I
I
think
I'll
people
go off those.
underestimate um, the power of journaling. There's a lot of research that actually shows, how journaling really, really helps with mental health.
Oh, and it really does, like, when I when I think back on how I got through so many tough times as a kid when I was alone, not having journaling, I don't know where I would be, if I'm
Hmm.
being honest.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were days like this year has just been a wild ride for me. And again, I went back to those base roots where like I just, when I felt something really big, I was like, it's time to open the book and do something. You know, sometimes that would be writing poetry. Sometimes that would just be yelling into the void, you know, like on paper. Sometimes that would be gathering these images that just made me feel something and putting them together and, you know, slapping paint on it and making a collage and like just finding a song that, you know, went with that feeling and writing some of the lyrics down and listening to it. It's such a ritualistic, big project that like that's how I process my emotions on a bigger level. You know, it's one of those things where like uh you know, even growing up, it's like big emotions sometimes were not okay.
Mm.
And so I don't know always how to do big emotions. And that's kind of how I found my way. And so I absolutely agree. Journaling and creating in that way, honestly, I feel like just really saves my life all the time.
Yeah, I work with clients when they get to a place with I'm asking a question or I'm trying to get them to have some insight on something that they're struggling with and they're stuck. One of the assignments I have them do is a free flow journaling. Uh, they have to go to a safe place, a quiet place. They have to be alone. They sit and reflect on our conversation. They ask themselves, you know, why am I stuck? And then they just start journaling. Then they bring it in and we discuss it. And little by little, we start unpacking. And it's amazing what journaling can do for people.
It's absolutely amazing. And you know, I use a lot of the books from Drea Bloom, who did Tarot Journal. I think
Oh,
under her,
yeah.
yeah, under her
I
other
did
name.
one of her workshops.
Yes, I love digging into those because not only do you get to like sometimes I'll like sit down, I'll pull a card, and then I'm like, what do I need from this? Like, I want to go deeper. And so I will pull out those because the questions that are being asked, it's like, it really makes you stop and think and really pour that out. Like you said, like taking those quiet moments and really expanding on that and then coming back and being like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like I didn't realize like this stems from this. Like I don't even feel this emotion. It's just that this emotion is on top of this one because I'm not dealing with what's really wrong. It's just a little thing that set me off, but it's this bigger thing. And it's like it gives
Yeah.
you those kind of broadening moments.
Do you keep all your journals? Do you dispose some of them? Do you give them out as gifts?
I mostly keep my journals. Now, sometimes I just enjoy the process of making junk journals and making these like cuz I use all recycled paper, just stuff that I have around or you
Mhm.
know, like things like that. And so old books you know, of just random ephemera. And so I just love the process of making it. So while I do make all of mine and I do keep a lot of them, there are some that I'll put up on my shop, like my little Etsy shop, you know, whenever they come up and things like that, because sometimes it's just a process of love for me. And so I know I'm not going to use them right now. That's not going to be my working book. So then for those, I like to either gift them or put them on my Etsy shop. That way someone else
Oh,
can take and enjoy.
so tell me about your Etsy shop.
So I have Bespoke Witchery on Etsy, and with that, I called it Bespoke Witchery for a purpose. These are unique things. It's very rare that I'll make one thing for a long time. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
constantly going through. It's like it's like my cycle of creativity. You know, like I will intentionally sit and make a bunch of like witches bells, and I'll post those. Those are never going to be the same. They're never going to be two of a kind. Everything is always unique as best as I can. You know, like of course I'll have some little designs that I'll put on bags or notebooks or things like that. That are like I actually did quite a few of the RWS. I kind of made my own um, line drawings and so I will print those. Like I have a few of the major arcana, that like I'll put on different things that are just like my line drawings. Um, but for the most part, I try to make something unique and, you know, magical and fun, and I'll put that on there. So a lot of times I'll have my journals and just some little witchy things that I create and offer up.
Do you have a logo?
Ish. I made something really pretty to put on my Etsy shop.
Yeah, I actually want to get a logo and I want to get an intro for my because you have an intro. Oh, I just want to tell you, I love, and I think this is one of the unique things about not very many people do unique things that you do on your channel is like you're talking about something, like when you were building your she shed. Oh, so I had to call my dad and he came over and helped me. But you pan over to your dad actually working as you're talking about how your dad is coming over. Or, my brother and my dad, they came over and it was a hot day and they were sweating, but you see them putting uh, the door together.
The door
Uh,
together, yeah.
yeah, and so you, as you talk, you pan out to stuff that's happening that you're explaining, which I think is really engaging.
Yeah, it's a fun thing when I can play with stuff like that, and it was really fun to kind of be able to show what was going on. Now, there are some times where I'm like, man, I wish I would just set up my camera sometimes. Like, so I got a wild hair the other day. Like, I don't even remember where my husband was. His name is Jacob. I don't know where he was. But he had gone to town for something, and I was like, I'm painting my shop. I'm gonna paint my shop. So I go to Lowe's. I grab paint, I pick out colors, grab some paint, come home. He had gotten a sprayer, like a paint sprayer. He had never used it before. And so I was like, I can figure it out. I Google it. He gets home. I am almost done. I'm like priming my whole building. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm painting. I'm painting today. And so I just like went at it and I was like, man, I wish I would have had that just so I can show like the process of kind of what I did. So I tried to take some
Yeah.
pictures like halfway through the fact. But I'm like, it's things like that where like I like to share and like often I'll forget to put the camera on so I could do stuff
Mhm.
like that. So then it'll come with midway through I'll kind of take some pictures or take some video and then I'll just be like, hey, this is what happened.
I want to do stuff like that, but I feel intimidated by doing it. It feels like I'm not going to do it right. So I haven't done it. I just haven't. I have a video that I want to do, but it would require me to record me doing stuff outside of just a headshot. And I
Yeah.
haven't done it because I feel that it's daunting. And here you are painting a place, building a place, recording and showing it. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I just I'm kind of a go for it kind of girl. I've always been that way. Like it's one of those like it's a blessing and a curse, but like I always think like I could do it. It's fine. I can do this. You know,
See,
like
with some things I'm like that, other things I'm not. And then, sometimes I'm just highfalutin. Like I moved in with my brother for a short time and we're separating the chores. And I literally said to him, just so you know, I don't do grass. I will mop, I will do the windows, I'll scrub the toilets, but I'm not doing any grass.
no grass for me.
It made
Oh,
him so mad. But I'm like, where I grew up poor, we had to work really hard, just to make ends meet. And
same.
but I can't do the grass, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I was
Uh,
forced to do the grass and I'm terrified of spiders and there was this one space where every time we would go and you would do the push mower because I'd have to go around like all the buildings and stuff do the push mower and there would be spiders and it was like the most terrifying thing in the whole world for me. And so like I always avoid I'm like, listen, I'll get on the lawnmower and I'll ride and cut. Now over here I'll do the push mower. But like I was traumatized.
okay, so I like to ask my last question. I'm brand new. I don't know much about tarot, but I'm interested. What is the one deck, the one book, the one workbook, and one piece of advice that you would give me? Like I literally know nothing other than I just saw it and I want to try.
Well, I would definitely say probably the RWS, whatever version calls to you, but just so you can learn the symbology and understand. The book, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not saying that because she is my friend. If I would have had Lisa's book when I started, like it opens so many doors when you really focus on your keywords and it builds
Hmm.
that intuition. I would say Lisa's book, Unlocking the Tarot, because I think the keyword system is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Workbooks, anything by Drea Bloom.
Okay.
The tarot activity book, just so you can learn how to play and relate, probably the top of my list. Piece of advice, learn the rules and then throw them out and trust yourself.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because learning the rules gives you a base to work from,
Yep.
a
Learn the
foundation.
rules and then do it. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very nice. I love that. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. This was so
That was
wonderful.
so wonderful. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a spectacular time.
Me too, except for the beginning.
I mean, it happens.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, my name is Benny and I am the Fool's Apprentice. Bye, guys.
Bye.